On the latest Sound Politics, why would an Iranian American in Seattle support the U.S. and Israel bombing their homeland?
We're going to talk to a major Trump fundraiser who does, and hear from many people with complicated feelings about the war, including an Iranian American Democratic lawmaker who feels what comes next is going to devastate Iran.
Already, the human toll is steep. We'll talk about the future and what Iranian Americans in the Seattle area hope for on Sound Politics, wherever you get your podcasts.
About 9,000 tech workers in the Seattle area have lost their jobs in the past year.
That could mean 9,000 people are competing for a shrinking pool of tech jobs.
As tech layoffs land locally, questions are now lingering. Chief among them, are we in a tech recession or a tech transition?
Two of the region's biggest tech employers are cutting hundreds of jobs, sending ripple effects through Washington's tech-heavy economy.
This year started off with the most layoffs we've seen in a January since the Great Recession, and the lowest hiring on record. And many companies are now citing artificial intelligence in their layoff announcements. I'm Monica Nicholsberg.
I'm Joshua McNichols, and this is Booming. Tech workers are on the front lines of a major shift in our economy.
So where have all the laid-off tech workers gone? And what can the rest of us learn from the first shock in the AI earthquake? That's coming up.
I got an idea for one of your commercials. You could see a carpenter making a beautiful chair, and then one of your robots comes in and makes a better chair twice as fast. And then you superimpose on the screen, USR, on the little guy. That would be the fade out.
Yeah, I see. I suppose your father lost his job to a robot. I don't know, maybe you simply would have banned the internet to keep the libraries open.
So, Monica, one of the big stories on your beat right now is the tech layoffs.
Yeah, really for a few years at this point, it's been a big focus. And the hits for these workers kind of just keep on coming.
So what's happening right now?
So the latest is in January, Amazon laid off 16,000 employees. You might remember that's on top of the 14,000 that they let go late last year. And other tech companies in the area have also done layoffs, like Expedia, Meta, T-Mobile.
Yeah. I know we tend to talk about layoffs in this big picture way, like what does this say about the economy? But of course, behind these layoffs, there are real people who want to land on their feet.
Yeah, it's important not to lose sight of that. And one way that I do it is I try to keep in touch with these folks who I interview during a big layoff event. So I've been talking a lot with them, and I'm starting to see some trends emerge that I think can tell us something about what happens when an industry starts to downsize and maybe look to new technologies like artificial intelligence to pick up the slack, which is something that's also starting to happen in other sectors too.
Yeah, the AI revolution is definitely here. So what are you hearing from folks who've been laid off in tech?
Well, it's pretty brutal out there. It's common to hear stories about people looking for more than a year, sending out hundreds of resumes, and really not getting a lot of traction. That's leading some tech workers to just abandon the field altogether.
And when we say tech workers, are we talking about coders?
Well, we're talking about people who work at tech companies, people with tech backgrounds. A lot of these layoffs have come for software engineers. I think that's probably the biggest group, but not exclusively. There's also HR people, marketing folks, just people who work in tech who are affected by layoffs and then now are re-entering this pretty tough job market.
Got it.
So a few weeks ago, I started talking to this guy named Daniel DePaulo. He's worked as a software engineer for about 20 years, and 3 years ago, he was working for Sports Illustrated on their website.
The company was pretty good size, like pretty good benefits and pay, and I was like, wow, this is great, and maybe I could support a family, maybe have a second kid and live some sort of ideal American dream or something like that.
But then Sports Illustrated went through a massive layoff. Fortunately, it wasn't the end of the world for Daniel. He was able to find another job a couple months later by following his manager to a startup.
Okay.
But then that startup started doing layoffs.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so he lost his job again.
I would not want to have to go through that.
Yeah, it is really destabilizing to lose your job once, let alone 2 or more times. But it's actually pretty common in this field. He's not the only person I interviewed for this story who's been through several rounds of layoffs in the past few years.
Oh, man.
This time around, it took Daniel 6 months to find a new job. He took a coding position at an online marketplace for buying and selling baseball cards. But it wasn't a good fit. He was burnt out and unhappy, and he ended up quitting.
Obviously, it was risky to not have a job lined up, but I don't know. It was kind of a spur of the moment decision. Would I make it again? Maybe not. Maybe I wouldn't.
So it sounds like he's saying maybe he wouldn't quit again if he knew how hard it would be to find another job.
Yeah, I don't know if he fully appreciated how much things have changed for software engineers in really the past year or two.
Yeah, I mean, AI has really shaken things up and a lot of people are losing their jobs.
Yes, although it's still kind of a matter of debate how related the two things are.
Yeah, we seem to hear different things when the companies announce these, whether AI is a factor or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we can say pretty definitively is these companies are really pushing to use AI and more citing it in their layoff decisions. Whether AI can actually replace these workers, I think, is the gray area at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so what is this guy doing now?
Well, Daniel's situation is pretty interesting. He has left technology and he's taken a job that I think really illustrates how much the job market has changed for software engineers.
935.
He went from working in tech to driving tech workers around on a bus, a Microsoft shuttle.
Check in and make sure everything's good on your end for the Millennium.
Oh, yeah, everything's good. I'm just waiting for the first stop.
Copy that. Thank you so much.
I kind of just applied for it on a whim. It seemed like definitely a step up from just getting like a restaurant job. You've got corporate riders and you're kind of on this beautiful Microsoft campus. And I think they were ramping up the hiring because Microsoft just returned to the office this week, actually.
I wonder if that ever feels awkward for him, driving around the kinds of people he used to work with.
I think at the very least, the irony is not lost on him.
I sometimes have a conversation and they're usually kind of surprised when I tell them that I'm a software engineer. Whenever the topic of layoffs came up to a T, they say the market is tough and they say they're worried about layoffs. I would say 100% of them. I don't think there was anyone that was like, oh yeah, I'm good, no problem.
So just to be clear, everybody he talks to on his bus is worried about losing their tech job.
Anytime the subject of layoffs comes up, yeah. It just goes to show how much anxiety there is across the tech industry, even if software engineers are the ones who are most vulnerable. And Daniel isn't the only one leaving the industry. I talked to Andy Challenger from the outplacement firm Challenger Gray and Christmas a few days ago. Companies like Amazon and Microsoft hire these outplacement firms to help their laid-off workers find new jobs. And Andy said people quitting tech altogether is happening more and more.
We've seen tech be in an era where we've seen the highest layoffs announced for 3 years in a row, right? So a lot of people within tech are looking outside of their specific industry where they also might be able to apply their skill sets.
He said a lot of them are looking at fields like healthcare or finance, where there's still some demand for people with software skills. Every company is a software company nowadays, and these ones might not be quite as savvy about using AI, at least not yet.
There have been so many tech layoffs in the past few years. I got to wonder, are there enough jobs in those fields to absorb all these laid off tech workers?
It's a good question, and I think that's where things can feel a little shaky, a little uncertain. AI is just such a wild card here. I don't think anybody can predict what's going to happen.
My worry is that we've started to see layoff announcements directly attributed to artificial intelligence start to creep out of the tech industry in the last month or two. Started to see a handful of large companies publicly and privately talking about artificial intelligence as a driver for job cuts, and that could affect people with technology backgrounds more significantly across all industries.
So he's saying the job market in tech is kind of a mess right now, and all these laid off workers are trying to jump ship to other industries. But now those industries are starting to lay people with software backgrounds off and citing AI as the reason. So it's raising this question, are we seeing software engineers go extinct? We don't really know the answer to that, but it's definitely on everybody's mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to imagine software engineers going extinct like, elevator operators did or something. But what about people with backgrounds in tech who want to stay in tech? What are they doing?
A lot of them are taking temp jobs, contract work. I talked to a temp agency that specializes in highly skilled workers, the type of people who are being laid off from these tech companies. And they said they're seeing a surge in applications from tech, people who in the past would have landed another full-time gig. That's what happened to Russell Ollie. You might remember from a past episode of Booming, I interviewed him because he was one of the people swept up in Microsoft's last big layoff.
I have done contract work in the past. It was when I was laid off from Zapier. Nothing else was available, so I took the contract. I always prefer full-time work, personally. It's more stable and secure. I prefer that stability, but when you don't have a choice, that's sort of what you do.
Okay, so just to reset here, there's two big things happening with these laid off workers. Some are leaving tech, and some are taking temporary positions instead of full-time jobs. It seems like a really scary time to work in this industry.
It's tough. There's really no sugarcoating that. I hear a lot about low morale, about people feeling trapped. Sometimes you hear this term job hugging.
Yeah, like holding onto your job for dear life.
Exactly. That's the situation for this guy I met, Derek Tellen. He's a systems administrator at a mid-sized tech company here in Seattle, and he said everyone on his team was laid off except for him.
It was a team of 4, and now it's a team of me.
He's been demoted and given all this extra work. He was offered optional severance, but decided it was too risky to take it without another job lined up. He feels like he's on a sinking ship, and he's trying to get off.
So far, I've applied to 180 jobs, and I've had one interview in the last 3 months, right? So it's like a completely different landscape.
Oh, okay. So, Monica, you've beaten me down with this, relentless tsunami of bad news.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Is there anything you can say that will offer me just, a glimmer of hope?
Yeah. I mean, this isn't everyone's experience. Andy Challenger, who we talked about earlier, he's working with these laid-off workers every day. And he said that a lot of them are still finding new jobs, especially in other industries, like we mentioned. Finance, healthcare, those are the top ones.
There are still plenty of signs that the job market is healthy. We're working with job seekers all the time who are landing good positions. We might look back at this time, a year from now and say, actually, we were in a recession. It was worse than we thought. But from the data that we're looking at right now today, there's still jobs available and there's still some underlying health markers in the overall labor market.
Okay, I'm feeling a little bit better. So maybe people shouldn't panic.
I don't think that this is a time to panic, but I do think that what's happening in tech could be an important test case for how we're going to respond to what could be a lot of disruption in the white-collar workforce. This is all happening so fast, but there are some ideas out there, mostly from political pundits and kind of wonks, about how to deal with it. Ideas like expanding unemployment benefits, universal basic income, workforce retraining.
Yeah, I mean, in the past when we've had massive unemployment, at least with the Great Depression, there was some reforms that came out of that. We got the New Deal.
Yeah, although I kind of think of the New Deal as an outlier in history. Mm-hmm. Generally, I would say when we have a widespread job loss due to automation, we haven't done a super great job of dealing with it. I mean, think about one of the most destabilizing forces in our politics, the decline of manufacturing jobs due to automation.
Right. We didn't do very well on that one.
Yeah. So we've got these kind of two examples from history that we could maybe learn something from. But so far, I haven't seen a really comprehensive, unified plan for dealing with this moment that is already upon us come together.
Right. Thanks for your reporting on this, Monica. And I look forward to seeing what happens next.
Yeah, we're definitely keeping an eye on it. That's it for Booming. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, and if you've got an idea for something you think would make a good Booming episode, go ahead and tell us about it. You can write us at booming@kuow.org.
Or you can leave us a voicemail, that's even better, at 206-221-7158.
Yeah, we love voicemails because, of course, we're radio and we just love voices.
And we might hear your voice in a future episode.
Yes, and special thanks to people who are donating to the show. It means a lot to us, and we couldn't do it without you. So if you want to donate, go to kuow.org/booming.
That's right. This station is powered by donations. So throw us a little something if you can.
Our producers are Lucy Suchek and Alec Cowan. Our editor is Carol Smith. I'm Joshua McNichols.
I'm Monica Nicholsberg, and we will catch you next time.